Hola mi gente! Welcome back to Cat and Too Many Books. I'm Kat, and I am here to do my January wrap-up. So happy Sunday! Today's Sunday, and I thought I would do this today. And I read 7 books in January, which is pretty good for me. I know that may not be like a lot, but I think it's a lot. And I had a mix of a lot of things. I had some mystery thrillers. I had a classic. I had some nonfiction, some science fiction, and the graphic not actually a manga that I read. So I'm pretty happy with the different bits of reading that I did. So I'm going to go ahead and from this year, one of the things I would like to do is to make it so that I end with my favorite book of the month. And I very much had a favorite book of the month. I was surprised that what book didn't end up being my favorite book because another book ended up being my favorite book, as it would be. So let's just get right on in there. First book I want to talk about is Spy vs. Family by Tatsuya Endo. This is volume 5. I've been following the series for a little while. I'm making my way slowly through it. It is a manga series about the Forgers, specifically Lloyd Forger, who is a spy. There's a West and the East. He's a spy for the East, I believe. And he is sent to the West to try to figure out what one of the bad men from that side is trying to plan. So he has to go undercover and pretend to have a family. So he kind of recruits a girl, not telling her why, but he asked her to marry him. She happens to be an assassin. He does not know that. And then they also adopt a little girl who happens to be telekinetic. Oh, she's got ESP, so she can read minds. And so she knows who they are. They know who she is. It's really funny. It's actually quite wholesome. They're absolutely the most adorable. So that's Lloyd, and then Yor and Anya. They picked up a little dog now. Well, he's a big dog. And the last one, and I'm kind of enjoying them. This one had some missions that Anya is doing to try to help her dad, trying to help Lloyd. And also we were introduced to a new character who I think is going to put a little bit of wrenches, another character's put a wrench in the Lloyd families, the Forger families stuff. Thankfully, this particular character, that's Yuri, Yor's brother, who I absolutely cannot stand, wasn't in this, but he's here. So, I mean, he's in it, but just slightly. Anyway, yeah, it was good. I gave it 4 stars. The next book I want to talk about is Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. This is a sci-fi book about Binti, who is the first of the Himba people to be invited to the UMBA, that is how you say it, right? UNZA University, which is like the International Space University, basically, or I guess interspatial university. But her people kind of she's going to be ostracized by her people if she goes, but she decides to go because knowledge is so important to her. And the story sort of takes place on the transport from her planet where they were picking the students up to going to the UNZA University, and something terrible happens. And it is about Binti being smart and self-reliant, resourceful, and also quite empathetic to she has to basically figure out a way to fix the things that has happened. It was really good. It's in 100 pages. I think it's like 90 pages long. It was so good. I think Nnedi Okorafor's writing is wonderful. She gets so much said in such short amount of time, and so much that you feel in such a short amount of time. And it was wonderful. I gave it 4 stars. Next on my list is Jane Austen at Home by Lucy Worsley, a biography. I read this for January, the January Reading Challenge, which was hosted by Jen's Reading Life. Thank you again, Jen, for hosting it. I can't wait for next year's. We read this as part of that. This is a nonfiction book which basically talks about the different places that Jane lived, the different homes that she had over her life, and how those homes affected her writing, how they inspired them, how they changed who she was, and therefore changed her writing as she got older. It also tells so much about what it was like at that point, society at that point, her friends, her family, her suitors. And it really, 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 really talks a lot about how all those things are threaded through her stories. It was really, really great. I listened to a lot of it on audiobook because I was listening to it while I was crafting because it was such a great thing to listen to. And yeah, it was, I loved it. I really like Lucy Worsley. I've read a previous book of hers that had to do with like homes and rooms from like, I think it was like the 1800s. And she just writes about things that you wouldn't think are super fascinating in a way that makes them really, really engaging and that you can really enjoy. I gave this 4 stars. Had a pretty good reading month, I think. The next one I want to talk about is Persuasion by Jane Austen. Again, part of Jen's Reading Live's January reading challenge for this year. Persuasion is one of my 2 favorite Jane Austens. I absolutely love Anne as a character. I think I appreciate her more now than I did when I was younger because I feel like I relate to her the most out of all the Jane Austen characters. Maybe because I'm older now, and I think I understand her thoughts about love and family. Anne is very quiet. She's very different from sort of the more vivacious. Sorry, my camera's moving because Bonnie's circling. The more vivacious characters that Anne has had, but she is super strong and very clear as a character, and she has like she's got such empathy and such kindness. And I know like a lot of people take her kindness for weakness, but it isn't. She's just very empathetic and kind. And she's also very self-aware of herself, her mistakes, of other people around her. And I also really appreciate the longing in this book. I am a big second chance romance person. I am also a big friends to lovers person, which makes sense because my 2 favorite Jane Austen books are Persuasion. I love them all. I'm going to put that out there. But the top 2 that I like the most, or the top 2 that I would read a lot, would be Persuasion and Emma. So that makes sense. Second chance romance, friends to lovers. But the slow burn in this, I mean, it's a long... Sawyer. Sorry, he's playing with his toy. Give me a minute. Thank you. Made me lose my train of thought. The slow burn, sort of the longing in this, it's what makes this book so good. And Wentworth, I think, has one of the best sort of love confessions in a Jane Austen novel. I absolutely adore his love confession. He's a really good lead as well. I really enjoy him. So this one I gave 5 stars. This is the one I thought was going to be my favorite of the month. It's still great. It's still 5 stars, but not quite my favorite because I've got another one. My next book is None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. I read this for Books and Lala's Buzzword Readathon Challenge for the year. So for January, the word was truth, or lie, or true, whatever variation of truth you have. Also, she has a cover challenge this year as well for sort of like a buzzword cover challenge, and this year's was patterns. So I was able to use this book for both of those. I've not ever read a Lisa Jewell before. This was wild. Like, I understand now why so many people really like Lisa Jewell. This doesn't break the mold in anything, but I think for me, a thriller has to do 3 things, and that's like have really good pacing, have twists that kind of keep me not even if not guessing, just like, oh wow, doesn't have to shock me, but I have to be like, okay, oh my, that was interesting. And it has to have characters that, while I don't have to like, I want to be able to know what happens to them. And this book did all of that. This is the story of Alex, who is a podcaster. On her birthday, she meets another woman named Josie, who happens to be her birthday twin. Josie approaches her later to tell her that she would like to be on her podcast if she's interested in telling her story, because she has a harrowing story about her life. And so Alex is intrigued and starts to sort of let Josie into her life, and that spirals a little bit out of control, a lot out of control. It was really good. Lisa Jewell's writing is extremely readable, and it's like popcorn. This was really, really good. I gave this 4 stars. All right, before I get to my favorite book of the month, I want to talk about this next book, which is Death in the Manor by Catherine Shellman. It was a library read, so I don't have it anymore. This is the next in the Lily Alder cozy mystery series, historical cozy mystery series. I love this mystery series. Sorry, I had to ask Sawyer to stop playing with his toy for 5 minutes so I could finish. This is, I think, the third in the Lily Alder mystery series, which I really enjoyed. I gave this 3.75 stars. I didn't quite love it as much as I loved the other ones because one of my favorite characters was just Captain Jack. Was not in this one as much. He's been sent away on he's been getting orders, so with his ship, so he's away. I think just for this book. I hope he's back in the next one because I really love him, and I felt his presence like missing because he has such a great dynamic with Ophelia and Lily. The three of them are like the ones that really kind of bring this together. Also, Simon, which is the Simon Page, the DI, basically the Constable Simon Page, which is the detective that they work with on these cases, was also kind of missing. So that was a little like, oh. So it felt a little bit different. I still enjoyed it. We got to meet more of Lily's family. And so she goes to visit her aunts in the country where they live. And there's a murder in a manor there when they go visit, of course. And it's related to a ghost that's supposed to be haunting the place. But Lily does not believe in ghosts and is fairly sure that this person was murdered by a person. And so she goes in to investigate. It was really interesting. I was surprised by the person that did it. So it kept me kind of guessing a little bit because I thought it was one person, and then I was like, oh, and then I realized who it was. I actually didn't think it did surprise me. I had the completely wrong person for quite a while, which was good. But I did miss Captain Jack and Lily's entire thing. I low-key kind of shipped them. Low-key, high-key kind of shipped them. And there was like a new gentleman who's very nice, Matthew Spencer, but I don't know. I don't particularly like him and Lily, and they had a whole like bit of romantic thing going on. And anyways, 3.75. I will, of course, continue the series because I do quite enjoy it. And last but certainly not least, my favorite read of the month is Rules for Ghosting by Shelley J. Shore. I have actually ordered this because it's a library read. I have ordered this for myself, a copy, because I love this book. I don't know that I have the words to talk about how much I love this book. It it speaks about grief in such a way that I can't even express it. It really talks about grief in so many different forms, because grief can be this hard knot in the middle of your chest, but grief can also be this quiet whisper that's just constantly there, and it really shows that and the different forms of grieving. What different things do you grieve for? But even though it's about a topic like that, it is also quite beautiful and lovely and like filled with hope and happiness. It was just I I don't even know. I don't have the words for it. It is about Ezra, who is a trans man whose family owns this Jewish funeral service home, who sees dead people. So he's been able to see dead people since his beloved grandfather Zadie passed away. That's the first ghost he ever saw, and he's been seeing ghosts ever since. They don't really talk to him. They don't hurt him or anything, and he tries to help them any way he can. But it's like secret he's been carrying his entire life. Of course, when he was younger, along with the secret that he was, a man. And it's just about those ghosts of secrets and grief and pain that one carries and shame that one carries. And Ezra's a lovely character. He's so wonderful. And I loved this. I loved how they spoke about grief, how they spoke about, being honest to yourself, how they spoke about family. He's got this found family of roommates that are absolutely A+ human beings. I love them. His parents are frustrating, but lovely. His parents are frustrating, but they love him, and they're wonderful parents. They're just kind of a little frustrating in their own situation. The story begins because Ezra has to work in his family's business because his mother runs away with the rabbi's wife during dinner one day. She just announces she's leaving, and so he has to go back to work at the funeral home, which puts him into contact with a lot of ghosts. And he meets a man, a next door neighbor of his, downstairs neighbor, Jonathan, who he's very attracted to. But then the problem is that Jonathan's recently dead husband Ben is showing up to see Ezra all the time. It's a lot, and I can't even, like, the synopsis does nothing for how beautiful this book is. I want everybody to read this book. I loved it so much. I think Ezra's relationship with his parents is really, really fraught but loving, and then his relationship with his brother and his sister Becca and Aaron is so realistic. They are in each other's corner, but they also get on each other's nerves a lot. I love that. And Jonathan and Ezra are genuinely a beautiful love story. I can't say enough how much I genuinely love this book. And I wish that Shelley J. Shore, I wish that they would write another one of this world. I know it's weird, but I want to know more about what happens to all of the characters in this. This was beautifully done. Their writing is I think it's exquisite. It's so moving. It's beautiful. So 5 stars, 5 huge stars. I'm going to be thinking about this book for a very long time. I'm probably going to reread this book at some point because I loved it so much. When I get my own copy, I am more than likely going to reread it on audiobook as well. I love this. I love this so much. I highly recommend. Please pick this up. And that was it. Those were my 7 books that I read in January. I hope that you enjoyed this little video. If you've read any of those books, comment down below. If you're interested in reading of them, let me know. What did you read in January? If you have a video with your January reads, would you link it down in the comments? I'd love to see it. As always, comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you very soon. Bye.